Have you used Ozempic recently and feel like you lost your muscle mass? Are you fat around your belly and no matter how much you exercise or the diet you go on, it just gets worse? Do you try to hide your belly underneath your clothes but it still makes you feel uncomfortable when you look in the mirror? If certain parts of your body accumulate more fat than others, then this video is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Sebely Pal, a professor in bariatric medicine. I've published over 90 journal articles in the area of nutrition and chronic disease. There will be 5 key strategies I will discuss in today's video, which will help transform your body from being skinny fat into a lean but muscular physique. What is skinny fat? Well, skinny fat is known by many names in the scientific literature. Known as thin on the outside, fat on the inside, the thin fat phenotype, normal weight obesity, metabolic unhealthy non-obese. Even though people who are skinny fat may not appear to be large, interestingly, they look like their overall weight is within the healthy range. Scientifically, it is defined as individuals who have normal body weight as measured by body mass index or BMI, but have disproportionately high body fat percentage. In a nutshell, skinny fat is caused by someone having excessive body fat and lacking muscle definition. And this is why a person who is skinny fat is identifiable by their soft, flabby, weak body, which can look very different on everybody. So you might have thin legs and arms, soft middle with little chest development, or you can even have a spread of fat all over your body. However, the common theme is usually a lack of muscle mass everywhere. And on closer examination, most people who are skinny fat carry a lot of extra fat around their abdomen. It can be rather misleading when you look at someone because their belly can be easily covered up by their clothes. But this is why waist circumference actually is a better predictor of health risk than BMI for skinny fat. Many experts now suggest that the definition of obesity needs an update to account for not only for someone's weight, but also their body fat. Both men and women are susceptible to being skinny fat, and you can be skinny fat at any age when you're an adult, and this phenotype is especially common in people from Southeast countries such as India and China. It also comes with a lot of health risks like cardiovascular disease and diabetes. The prevalence of risk for diabetes, hypertension, and dyslipidemia in the normal weight obese shown in the red is just as high as obese individuals shown in the brown bars, which is why I'm so susceptible to this condition because of my Indian heritage and became pre-diabetic every time I gained weight or I became pregnant. Well, how do you get skinny fat in the first place? The theory is years of yo-yo dieting where you consume very few calories for a long period of time, which can bring your weight down but also strip your muscle mass over time, something I've been guilty of in the past. This can especially happen if you've lost weight on things like Ozempic, and in both cases, if you lose heaps of muscle mass trying to lose weight, then you're going to reduce your metabolic rate and allowing you to put on fat thereafter very easily. Doing too much cardio can strip your muscle mass as well, especially if you're eating minimal calories. Another thing I'm guilty of in the past, lack of protein in the diet and lack of strength training exercises to build muscle are also very common causes. A sedentary lifestyle where you sit working behind a computer or have an inactive lifestyle compounded by the intake of high fat, high sugar meals. And because of this, younger people are particularly vulnerable to accumulating higher body fat due to physical inactivity and unhealthy eating habits, dieting, and fast food consumption. Aging is also a contributing factor. As we age, we lose muscle mass, which means our metabolic rate drops and subsequently means we're inclined to gain more fat. Stress also plays a role with stress hormones like cortisol associated with high levels of fat. Plus, when we're stressed, we tend not to eat as well and to exercise less. As you can see from this diagram, others have also suggested that the flu can lead to physical inactivity, prolonged online jobs, stress eating of processed food, and eventually weight gain. So how do we fix skinny fat? What is a solution? Well, there are 5 fundamentals that you must hit if you're going to be successful long term. And this is how I transformed my body from being skinny fat to what I am today. First, changing your caloric intake either by cutting, recomping, or bulking. You have three choices. A cut is a hypocaloric state, or it means eating fewer calories than your maintenance levels. Recomposition, which is the maintenance of calories, and bulking, which means increase your calories and involves gaining more weight in the form of fat and muscle. We will discuss these in a second, but first I want to say that the best body fat percentage for a man to be aiming for is around 12 to 15%, and for women it would be around 21 to 24%. These are low enough percentages to make you look great with clothes on, but also sustainable all year round with the strategies I will discuss in this video. Your appetite, energy levels, and hormones will be good without getting too obsessive about every calorie or kilogram that you lose. Remember, these are ranges and not specific numbers. It will ultimately depend on your body. Anything lower than this will be unsustainable and too hard. First, bulking. Bulking is gaining both muscle and fat. Subsequently, your weight will go up, as you can see in this graph. I don't recommend a bulk because if you go into a calorie surplus to try to build muscle, you're going to be gaining even more fat. This means your stomach and other areas will get even bigger while trying to do this, and subsequently there'll be more fat to lose later on because you'll have to create a drastic calorie deficit to burn it off. When you are getting heavy as a skinny person, it doesn't look so good in the mirror, and it doesn't give you that positive feedback you need to build your confidence. And yes, you will gain muscle, but you won't see it underneath the fat you've just laid down. So visually, it's not going to be very motivating, and most women definitely don't want to go down this route because your jeans feel tighter and you're going to be so uncomfortable and probably get depressed. So the biggest reason I don't recommend going on a bulk is that any addition of fat, especially around the belly, can lead to high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease, especially if you're from the Southeast Asian countries. However, if you do want to go down this route because you've been doing weight training for a while, then the best approach to take is doing it very slowly and only increasing your calories by about 200 calories and not very much more. Most people who go on a bulk usually go on a surplus of 750 to 1,000 extra calories, which I think is way too much fat for a skinny fat person. Getting recklessly fat in a fast bulk is not a good thing. I generally recommend 1% of body weight per month and taking a slow approach. Well, what about a cut? Well, a cut basically means you're going to lose weight and fat, but maintaining muscle throughout this process, as you can see from this graph. Most people like myself will say, I definitely do not want to get fatter. Women prefer cutting as they start looking skinnier in their clothes, so therefore I would recommend starting out with a cut instead of a bulk because it's going to make a biggest and quickest visible change. Seeing a skinnier self in the mirror is going to give you positive reinforcement, confidence, and the motivation to stick to it. But most importantly, it's about taking the slow approach. First, you need a slight, not a drastic calorie deficit of around 5% of your maintenance levels. This way you can drop about 200 calories and see what it does over time. This is not a drastic cut by any means, as there are downsides to this, which I will talk about near the end of the video. These small changes will help you lose fat, but the best thing is that you don't risk losing a lot of muscle. As soon as you go to a 500 calorie deficit, you risk losing muscle, which defeats the whole purpose, so try not to be impatient. Your primary goal in a cut is to maintain the muscle that you do have while losing your weight and your fat. Making a modest cut slowly will also allow you to enjoy your food and this entire journey of your skinny fat transformation without feeling too deprived. The best thing about doing a cut is that you're not going to get any fatter, and you will be giving yourself enough energy and nutrients to continue building strength. If you don't see any changes after a couple of weeks, you can always reduce your calories a little bit more. The best way to track your calories and macronutrients is using MyFitnessPal to make it easier for yourself. Well, what about body recomposition? Well, Recomp just basically means that you're maintaining your weight but losing fat and increasing your muscle mass at the same time, as you can see by this graph. I only recommend this second strategy for beginners or what we call newbies, or to people who haven't trained in a while. A body recomposition essentially means the process of trying to lose fat while gaining muscle. Unfortunately, it takes time to achieve your body recomp goal when maintaining the same calorie intake, and therefore it doesn't result in the greatest visual differences because because your weight stays the same on the scales. So it can be hard to figure out if you're losing fat. For most people who are starting out though, it still may be a viable option because you may be one of those people who can't bear to get the thought of getting any skinnier from cutting or getting fatter from bulking, especially if you're a woman. Men who are skinny fat like recomping better as they don't want to get skinnier from a cut, and so they're willing to exchange patience of the whole process with being a bit more comfortable with their bodies. For beginners starting off with body weight training, a body recomposition can lead to significant short-term results. This is especially true if you have never lifted weights before, have not lifted for a long period of time, and not been consistent with your lifting schedule. However, as you get leaner, your body will experience a lot more resistance to body recomposition changes, and you will find it harder and harder to make progress because you're not cutting your calories. So therefore, if you do start off with a recomp, you might want to change to a cut to get to your end goal faster. Nutrition is paramount if you're going to succeed on your skinny fat transformation. One big reason that people have become skinny fat in the first place is because they haven't eaten enough protein. Protein is a building block of your muscles, and you may not have consumed enough in the past, which is why you've gained body fat. It's obvious then, to really help with your fat loss, the next thing you have to do is to dial in your nutrition, which means eating lots and lots of protein. Protein is a magic elixir for burning body fat and building muscle. The problem is that when you're in a slight caloric state, or in other words, eating fewer calories, then you have the huge risk of losing muscle. The goal is to keep the muscle you already have and even build some more on top. Eating enough protein will allow you to do this and eventually determine whether you will see results you are looking for from your skinny fat transformation. From my previous protein video, you will remember that protein will keep you satiated, which means it will keep you feeling fuller for longer, therefore making it easier to stick to a lower calorie diet. And this is because protein has a higher thermic effect than other foods. You'll burn off more calories when you consume a higher percentage of it, therefore you'll be able to eat more food and not feel like you're starving. So it's really important to be getting enough dietary protein to maintain and grow your muscles. Ideally, you would have a minimum of 0.8 grams per pound of body weight or 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. So make sure you have plenty of meat, fish, lentils, tofu, and you can even use protein powders to make sure you reach your requirement. Clean eating. Now, if you're going to stick to a skinny fat transformation for at least 3 to 6 months, then it's going to have to be about clean eating and getting healthy in the process. There is no point in being slim or muscular but unhealthy at the same time. For example, you can eat chips and donuts, but they won't serve you well. They have a lot of empty calories with no micronutrients and protein, and you'll probably feel like crap. Consuming carbohydrates and processed foods with high calories in excess will leave you hungrier, and you'll be using up your calorie allowance really quickly. You won't be able to stick to your plan. And if you end up consuming too much of these bad carbs, you'll be skinny fat again. So it's a good time to be practicing or changing your dietary habits for good so you don't keep falling back into this situation. You're better off prioritizing protein and high fiber foods, which means backfilling your protein with lots of fruits and vegetables. Instead of a bag of chips, you can eat a bucket full of berries instead. Adding high fiber foods, therefore, can help you consume fewer calories while still feeling full. You'll probably feel a lot healthier and have lots of energy and vitality because you are optimizing your micro and macronutrient intake. Number 3, resistance training. It doesn't matter what you do if you don't take the initial and crucial step of starting a well-structured weightlifting program without any delay. I know it's confusing to figure out whether to bulk or to cut your calories, but all of this is insignificant if you don't have the necessary stimulus on your muscles to change your body composition. Let me put all of this into perspective. Building muscle is 70% stimulation and 30% diet, and therefore a skinny fat body is often a product of little or no resistance training. The only way to get out of this situation is you must lift weights, no ifs or buts. So all you need to have is a good workout plan to fix this problem. The only way you'll be able to keep up this routine for the long haul and still have a life and not live at the gym is to do 3 days a week so you can recover in between. I recommend a bodybuilding style training with full range of motion and progressive overload. Doing compound exercises is going to allow you to work more muscle groups at the same time, thereby stimulating more muscles to grow. You don't need to pay for a program. Simply ask your gym to provide you with a basic guideline which consists of the following compound movements: squat, squat variations, back squats, Bulgarian, split squat, sissy squat, deadlift and deadlift variations, conventional sumo Romanian, calf raise and calf raise variations, standing seated machine, bench press, overhead rows and row variations, bent over row, seated row, upright row, pull down, pull up, wide grip lat, pull down, close grip lat, pull down, single arm, half kneeling, pull down, standard pull up, weighted pull up, close grip pull up, wide grip pull up. The only problem you will encounter with this routine is that if you continue to do the same weight and the same repetitions, then your muscles will adapt and not grow. Muscle building on a skinny fat physique will require progressive overload of your muscles, as I mentioned before. So you need to lift slightly heavier weight week after week, aiming to get just a little bit stronger every time. In a nutshell, you need to do a whole body workout every time you exercise, but slowly increasing the load each time. This also means that you can progress through these exercises much quicker and see more rapid muscle and strength gains, which will help build even more muscles. This type of resistance training will get you out of your current skinny fat condition, whether you're male or female, because building muscle is critical for increasing your metabolic rate, which will help you lose fat. It will be extremely helpful to use a phone app or a note to keep track of your weight, how many sets and how many reps you do on your training day. Walking. The secret sauce to really getting to where you need to go. On the days you're not working out in the gym, you have to walk, and do more walking. Walking in between strength training will not interfere with your muscle growth. In fact, it will boost your fat burning. If you watch part 1 of my walking video series a few weeks ago, I discussed how walking at a brisk pace is the best way to get your body to tap into your fat stores, which will put you into a zone 2 cardio. As mentioned in part 2 of the video walking series, you can further optimize your walking to build muscle using weighted vests, incline walking, and calisthenics. If you can integrate lots of walking as part of your skinny fat remedy, then I believe it will supercharge your fat loss. This way you can burn fat and create muscle at the same time, which is the key to getting rid of skinny fat and to achieve a more balanced and toned physique. If you do high intensity cardio like running, jogging on the treadmill, it will chew through your muscles and impede your muscle growth and only exacerbate your skinny fat condition to get worse. And it's the last thing that you will want to do, because that's probably how you got into the problem in the first place. And yes, you can do targeted abdominal workouts. While spot reduction isn't entirely possible, targeted abdominal exercises can strengthen your core muscles. Plank, Russian twists, and leg raises are effective choices. Number 5, shift your identity and change your habits permanently. If any of the strategies I've been discussing in the video are going to work long term, your skinny fat transformation journey should be easy, enjoyable, and integrated into your daily and weekly life. There is no point in making these lifestyle changes if they're going to be temporary or a one-hit wonder. For example, if you're trying to cut too rapidly by eating very few calories, you'll just have a rebound effect, because you will probably be miserable in the process and eat the first thing in sight and hence put the weight back on. So for anything good you want in your life, you must set yourself for success rather than failing again. Successful skinny fat transformation is long-term fat loss. It will take about 6 months to get close to where you want to be, so be patient, because you want these changes to be permanent. There are no quick fixes or magic potions that are going to get you there. You must do this calmly and stress-free. Try not to suffer too much in the process. Take breaks when needed, and also get good quality sleep so you can allow your muscles to recover and grow. This is a more intelligent approach if you never want to be skinny fat again. Set yourself some goals and stick to them as much as possible. You need to work on strengthening good habits and getting rid of the bad ones. Remember, studies have shown that long-term weight loss maintainers, as those who have formed new habits that come automatically, and as a result they report that changing their identity as a factor to their success. As I've repeatedly mentioned in previous videos, it's all about shifting to a new, healthier identity. For example, if you're going to be a fit person rather than a skinny fat person, then this will be reinforced every time you go to the gym or eat a healthy meal with lots of protein. A permanent change in your personality and behavior is going to be fundamental to whether whether you can transform your body and keep your new body forever. So my answer to fixing skinny fat is to trust in the process and apply the basic principles that I've mentioned in this video, and it will make sure you don't default into being skinny fat again. I really hope this video has helped you out. Have a look at last week's video in which I've discussed a novel way to help you automatically increase your physical activity, but to really get the results you want, make sure you come back to next week's video where I'm going to discuss how you can trick yourself into eating less. I think you'll be surprised when you hear some of the research studies on this. This is Sebely Pal. See you next week. Please don't forget to support my channel so I can continue to make informative videos by liking and subscribing.